Fulfillment. One of the greatest things life has to give everybody. And who in this room doesn't want fulfillment? There was a great study in the 1940s by a psychologist named Abraham Maslow that defined the hierarchy of needs that we have as human beings. And at the very top is where fulfillment. It's that thing, that magnet, that desire that we don't even know we have, that all human beings have, that drives us toward that pinnacle of our desires. I'm Mike Ross. I'm a serial tech entrepreneur. I'm a technopreneur. I've started over the last 30 plus years, 12 companies, and 2 of them went public. So, most people would say, I made a pretty big success of myself. Well, I don't have any complaints, but I didn't start out to be successful. I started out to be fulfilled. And over the course of building those companies, each time I built one, I just wanted to be fulfilled. And I found out that the passion I had and the passion and entrepreneurship together made me fulfilled. And so it actually worked better because I always wanted to help people. And so the products and services that I developed in my companies really were to satisfy my own desire for fulfillment and look at the needs of others and how my product and service was going to assist them. So one of the great TED Talks that I've seen, and maybe you've seen, is from an entrepreneur, a very successful book writer, is a guy named Guy Kawasaki, who has written a book called The Art of the Start. And it's sort of like a primer for entrepreneurs. Basically, his focus is to help entrepreneurs be successful. And he's discovered what I discovered, that if you start a business and you make meaning, you will make money. It's not necessarily intuitive. A lot of companies, people start companies that think their objective is to make money. And he says if your objective is to make money and you don't make meaning, you won't make meaning or money. So this is my conclusion too. But the challenge we all have is not using our passion for a purpose, but discovering our purpose. We can be passionate about something, but are we really zoned in on what we feel, what our why is? Simon Sinek is another great TED Talk, and he goes through why companies need to have a why behind their vision. But it's as important that the entrepreneur himself understands his why, or his company isn't going to have a why either. So let me kind of rewind into my history. I'm in first grade, and it's career day. And they asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. It wasn't an entrepreneur. It was a doctor. I just thought doctors were the greatest people in the world because they helped people and they healed people, and everybody needed them, and everybody loved their doctors because they were so needed and helpful. Well, I thought, well, this is all I have to do is go through school and someday I'll be a doctor. Unfortunately, I had a learning disability. I was totally dyslexic. I didn't learn how to read till I was in high school. I failed everything, virtually. I had tutors. Back in those days, if you did poorly in school, there was only a couple reasons why you'd do poor in school. A, you were just dumb, Or B, you weren't trying hard enough. You just weren't doing what you should. You need to put more effort into it. Well, that didn't work for me. I mean, no matter how much I tried, my brothers and sisters were getting straight A's and I was getting straight D's, you know what I mean? And I spent more time working on things, but I just couldn't work with institutional learning like everybody else was. Now, outside of class, oh, wow, I was great. Man, I was a Boy Scout. I learned all the things I had to do to be a Boy Scout, or, I learned how to do tasks that my parents taught me. And I mean, I was a good learner outside of class, but because of that learning disability I had, I was never able, that goal that I had really just kind of dissolved. And then I got, somehow I got through high school and got into college, but I was doing terrible in college, even though I was trying. And then I got my draft notice during Vietnam. And I thought, well, this is a relief. I don't have to do any more of this anymore because I'm doing so poor at it. Let's go do something that's going to actually make meaning. Let me go serve my country. And I'd grown up in a military family, and I figured that was the right thing to do. So I enlisted in the Air Force. I went in for a battery of tests to find out what they could place me in as far as my career. And when I came back to review the results of the test, they said, wow, you're amazing. You have got the highest had gotten the highest ratings in all categories. So you can pick any job the Air Force has to offer. And I go, that's not going to make it easy for me. Why don't you just pick? They said, what do you mean? Just pick what you think my skills, my aptitudes are going to work for. And they go, are you sure? I go, yeah. I mean, I don't know what I want to be. I'm not going to be a doctor anymore. So they came back and told me I was going to be an electronics intelligence analyst based on my aptitudes. And I go, oh, whatever that is, let's just see. So they sent me to school, and I'm going, well, this is going to be tricky because I never do well in school. And I was the top performer, not only in my class, but of all time over at Biloxi in the electronics school. And I didn't do anything. I just sat there and listened, and it absorbed it. And I spent my military career just achieving goals that I never could anyplace else. And I thought, wow, this is fun. And then they gave me technology, because it was in the intelligence field that nobody even was aware existed. And they go, you get to use this and try to get some results out of it. And I thought, oh, wow, sure, it'll be fun sitting in front of a big computer of my own and doing things that I couldn't even tell them I was doing. I knew everything about satellites. I knew everything about, reconnaissance aircraft like the SR-71 and the U-2 and everything of its day that we were using in intelligence. And generals were asking me for my information. How did I get it? And, validate it all. And it was just so much fun. And then I got married. My wife said, you got to get out of the service. I'm not going to be a service wife. So I go, okay, whatever, I had a good time while it lasted, and I got to go get a job now in the commercial segment. So the good news was I now knew my why. I'm not only very smart in the area of technology, I'm passionate. I love it. I just want to be in it all day. So that's what I started doing. I just started applying for jobs in technology. Technology of the day were TVs, radios, and stuff. Somebody hired me, and I began a wizard at fixing TVs and things like that. And then that wasn't paying well enough, and Disney World opened up in Orlando, and I went out there, and they said, well, we'll give you a job in the technical productions, entertainment productions. Oh, wow, that sounds cool. And in 6 months, I was one of the main producers of live entertainment because I knew how to run equipment. I knew how to understand what was needed by the performers. And it kept escalating until I got the top job as a technician there. And then my wife said, oh, you got to get a day job. You're working nights. So I went out and I applied to be a computer technician. I'd never had any experience in it. I got hired. They trained me, and I became one of the top technicians for this major computer company of the time. And I was just enjoying it. I just couldn't get enough experience. I always felt that, wow, I'm going to do it well, and the consumer is going to enjoy it more. And I thought, well, there was some meaning. I felt there was some meaning in that. But I kept doing this, and so my whole career was just escalating my expertise to the next income level and the next new technology that I could play with and enjoy and be around. And it took me to this point where I was working for the second biggest computer company in the world in a revolutionary new idea that is just what we use today. But this was back in the early 80s. They had hired me. I was the first commission salesman in the world. And I'm going, wow, that's pretty good. And I started doing well, but then I had a mentor that said, he was an entrepreneur, he said, Mike, you need to be on your own. You have too much passion to work for somebody else. If you apply that same passion and that desire for fulfillment someplace else, you're going to just do great. So I did. Basically, I jumped into the water without a life preserver and found out that, guess what? I started a company when the PC first came out. I believed the computer is going to revolutionize the world because I had seen the value of computers when I was in the military. And people said, nobody wants those computers. Who wants a PC? Who could use that? I said, well, I'll show them how to use it. I'll come up with software and applications and things to use it for. And then I'll feel good about that. And I did. And through the series of that dozen companies, that's what I did. So, that's what brings me here today. I was so fulfilled throughout my career that I just kept reaching into new areas of technology, building companies, and just enjoying the fact that other people valued the result of the companies I started. And then I got old. I kind of there's a point in time maybe you shouldn't hang up, you should hang up your baseball cleats or something, that you shouldn't really keep working, You get Social Security and things. But I still had this drive for fulfillment, and I just didn't know how to use it. So we were fortunate last year that we had a disaster called Michael over in Panama City where I live. And it doesn't sound like it was fortunate, but it was fortunate for me because it now gave me a purpose. The problem we had over there, I wasn't even really aware of how great the housing problem was. But it was evident after the storm because we lost 17,000 homes. And people were homeless that didn't want to be homeless. And the people that were without homes could not afford homes. And nobody wanted to build homes within their price category. And I said, well, let's use some technology. Let me do some research how can we make hurricane-proof homes? Can we make disaster-proof homes? And with a little research, I said, oh yeah, we can. Why aren't they? And the reason they aren't doing it because there's just too much labor involved. And there wasn't not a compelling reason to cut the labor costs out. If everything builders sold, what's the reason to really build a lower-priced product? Well, that got in my way. I just said, we're going to be disruptive, but we're going to take and look to the fact that we're in the fourth industrial revolution right now. And the fourth industrial revolution is all about 3D printing, artificial intelligence, software, new materials. And I said, we're just going to apply what everybody else is applying, but they haven't applied it to building and construction. So 3D concrete printing became the foremost objective in my mind. And so I started a company, New Community Homes, to build not just homes, but communities using technology like 3D concrete printers. It's called additive manufacturing. It's really a manufacturing process that you do on site. And so a manufactured home doesn't come in on wheels. You manufacture it right in the location. And I put together a team that has driven me for the last 7 months to get the community involved, wanting this, and they are driving me to my own fulfillment. This is the greatest experience I have ever had in my whole life. I had great experiences with these other companies. But now the meaningful part of it, the meaningful part of it goes back to Maslow's law. When you look at the bottom pyramid what the hierarchy or needs are, there's a thing called shelter. That's what everybody has to have in life. Human beings need shelter. They need food, water, they need air, they need a bunch of things. But it's clear they need shelter. So I knew I was on track with my vision for applying my technology for a significant purpose. And what I have realized is that this is so fulfilling to me that I cannot stop. It's going to continue. It may be disruptive. It may, rub some people wrong that I'm not cutting timbers and putting nails in them. But that technology is passé. I mean, there isn't any new technology that's been added to home construction in 100 years. I mean, we do have power nailers. We do have saws that are electric. But what else? The world builds with a cementatious material. You can make hurricane-proof, fire-proof, tornado-proof, earthquake-proof residences. And you can make them cheaper than what's being made today. And you can make them faster. Why not? So this is why it's so fulfilling to me that your greatest personal fulfillment comes when you contribute to improving the welfare of others. And sorry I discovered this so late in life. It always, I wanted to make meaning. But this statement here is the welfare of others. That's what a home is. It's so needed. It's so basic. And so I can't stop myself. I'm back into that groove that I've had throughout my career of feeling fulfilled for a purpose. We all know what maybe the golden rule is, do unto others until, as if you wanted them to do unto you. Or there's that other golden rule, those with the gold rule. But the rule I have is sort of a parallel to the traditional golden rule. And that is, reach out to others to feed their purpose and their passion. When you do that, they will feed you with your purpose and passion. And life will be so fulfilling for everybody, both them and you. Thank you for your time.